Mercy. I'm your host for Action for Life Television, that good news program which brings you the big G for the gospel of Jesus Christ and the little g, all the good things that people do to put that gospel of life into action. Well, gang, over the years we've heard a lot about pregnancy centers, places where women can go who have unplanned pregnancies. And oftentimes when we think of an unplanned pregnancy, we think maybe of a younger woman, sometimes even a young girl, someone oftentimes that has no financial means and has a lot of concerns about where they're going to have the baby, who's going to support them, how will their parents react to the pregnancy. Well, today we have a pregnancy center that is a little bit different, maybe a lot different. It's called Verity Pregnancy and Medical Resource Center. And this organization takes in women not to live at a facility, but to help them to get through what is called an unplanned pregnancy. Surprise, surprise. It happens to older people too, and to married people, and even to people who weren't expecting that they could even be fertile and have a baby and not know what to do. They're kind of shocked. Looks like their life is going to change radically, and they need some help and guidance as to what to do to have the baby and to take care of the baby. Now, that's great in itself, but it even gets better with Verity, because Verity also takes care of people who have medical issues regarding sexuality. And, you know, folks, there's a lot of stuff going on out there that's, it's unhealthy. And sometimes people are afraid to go someplace. They don't know what to do. They don't know what it is. They could go to Verity and they can get help. Now, Verity means truth, and that means they are going to speak the truth to these people who need help. There's nothing better than the truth. The truth will set you free. So we have the director of Verity with us today, and her name is Becky Anderson. So, Becky, welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank
Tell
you
us
so much.
all about Verity.
Well, Verity was started by a woman in our community in the Fort Myers area in 1987. It was just a small crisis pregnancy center run by non-medical people who just cared about women who are facing an unplanned pregnancy and perhaps were going to consider abortion. So her and her friends and family put together a crisis pregnancy center where they did primarily options counseling and pregnancy testing. And then, of course, if the woman chose life, they would provide material assistance, diapers and wipes and things like that. And they would also refer them for other care, a maternity home, doctor's appointments, things like that.
So you're kind of a referral type agency.
Yes, we are.
But when they come to you, do they know what you can do for them? Do they come with some kind of an idea of saying, well, they can help put me in touch with other people, they can give me information that I need? Is that what they come to you for?
Well, the interesting thing is that a woman who considers that she might be pregnant, the first thing she usually will do is go to the store and buy a pregnancy test, or 5 or 10. And she'll take those tests, and no matter how many times they say positive, she's in denial and says, I'm just not sure. I need to know for sure. And so a lot of times what they'll do is they'll Google free pregnancy test, and of course we come up. And so they come to us primarily initially to verify that they are indeed pregnant.
But how do they know about you?
They have a phone, and everybody has a phone that they use to find everything.
So they just say, I need help, and you go on your cell phone and you find it.
Exactly.
Yeah, you know, these young people know how to do that stuff. I still, I'm looking for the old phone book. They don't make
Those
them
are
anymore.
long gone.
They don't make them anymore. So they, you know, folks, you see, younger people, they're kind of, techie. They're very savvy in the ways of the social media and how to find things. And, they could buy anything they want on Amazon, but you could also get anything you want insofar as help when you need help. So they find you, and then you say, hey, come on over. What do you do?
Exactly. We do a pregnancy test. We actually start with getting their story, finding out what brought them to this place. And that helps us find some points of conversation for later on in the discussion. We do a pregnancy test, and when it's confirmed positive, then we determine the best time for an ultrasound. The sooner the better, but there obviously are times when we won't see anything and we have to make the decision as to whether it's best to have them come back or
you have the ultrasound machine right there.
Yep.
And then you say to them, hey, we got an ultrasound machine. Would you like to see the baby?
Yes, yeah. we certainly can do that. Mm-hmm. We also, during that visit, tell them all the other things that we can help them with. We do childbirth classes, parenting classes. We help the men because, there are men involved in this.
Okay, let's talk about that. Okay, so we said at the beginning that your organization is not just for young girls or young women who are not married or who find themselves, troubled because they got involved with a one-night stand, whatever the case may be. But now you're saying you even have the men involved. So do they bring their husband with them or boyfriend, or how did this work out?
It does. Sometimes the man comes because he's wanting to support her, even if it's a new relationship or even if it's a one-night stand. Sometimes they just realize that they're facing something big that they really weren't signing up for, and they want to see it through. So there are a million different reasons why the young man will show up, but about 30% of the men showed up when we started thinking about a men's
30%,
program.
That's pretty good.
That is a lot.
That's very, folks, sometimes you think that, a lot of these guys, they just want out, running out, and they don't want to know anything about it. And yet, we're hearing right at the beginning, 30%. 30% is not bad.
And the fact of the matter is, we have a culture that minimizes and marginalizes them, tells them they don't have a voice in this decision. So it's not a wonder why so many of them retreat or come with her and say, whatever you choose, I'll support. The problem with that young man is he's just put all the burden on her shoulders, and if she chooses abortion, she's going to be the one to live with it for the rest of her life.
Right. So when they bring the men in, what do you say to the guys when they come in? Now, you have your husband working with you?
No. We have a men's director.
A men's director.
His name is Jerry Diolio. He is there most days to see the young men when they come in. He will often go out to the waiting room, introduce himself, and invite them to come back to his office to just start a conversation with him while the woman is doing her thing with the female counselor. And at some point then the couple comes together, and it really depends on what the issues are. Sometimes they need some nudging in the right direction of a healthy relationship. Sometimes they need help figuring out how to tell the family. Again, it's a myriad of decisions. Sometimes we need to help them walk through what a new life plan looks like, because now they're going to be parents. Mm-hmm. But we are just there to help him because he's got just as many questions as she does.
So he's sitting out there in the waiting room, mm-hmm. and then you're talking to the woman, mm-hmm. and then she says, well, the father or my boyfriend, even my husband, right?
Sure.
He's sitting out there.
Yep.
And then you say, hey, Jerry, you got to talk to this guy.
Yep.
And Jerry goes out and gets him.
Yep.
All right. And then, well, how does that work out?
Well, he will spend as much time as the young man needs. And what we're finding more often than not is these men are hungry for a listening ear. They're hungry for someone to say, hey, buddy, you got yourself into this situation. It's time to own it, and there's a child who needs a father, and you have an opportunity. Even if you didn't have a good role model, you have an opportunity to change the circumstance from here forward.
See, this gang is about the name, Veritas, telling the truth. And so Jerry Diolio, he's telling the truth to these guys. And look, you got to be honest. I mean, these guys can't be too bad if they showed up. I mean, they're there. Look what you have to work with now. You have the woman, you have the man, you have the baby. You have a real chance of putting this whole thing together and maybe starting a decent home for the man, the woman, and for the baby. This is a beautiful operation you have going
Thank
there.
you.
And then do they come back, for different sessions? How does this work out?
Well, even if the woman doesn't bring the baby's father, Jerry will go out to the waiting room and interact with her and say, hey, let me give you my card. Baby's dad is invited to come back here. We want him to go out for the ultrasound if you're going to come back for that. He can call me anytime. He can text me. And next time you come, let me have a chance to talk with him and support him in all of this. And then they get to take the classes together. That's one of the things we hope will happen, was the ultrasound gets done together, the classes together, so that they begin to see themselves as a team in honor of this baby, not as two individuals who made a mistake.
Yeah, this is fantastic. You see, over the years, I've been involved with prayerful protesting in front of Planned Parenthood. And you go to Planned Parenthood and, there's really no counseling involved except you're going to get an abortion and give us your Medicaid, Medicare card, give us the money, and we're going to abort your child. Do you see what can happen in the right environment with the right people? A life is saved. People get a chance to really come together to know each other and to help a relationship that maybe wasn't that great in the first place, but maybe it grows and becomes better when people see that there is hope and that there is light, and that the truth of the matter is that there are organizations that do really want to help people and not just take their money and end a human life. Do you see this, gang? There's no need for Planned Parenthood. There's no need for it. And our government at the moment is trying to talk about the expansion of abortion rights. The expansion of abortion rights. Talking about $3.5 trillion and make more money available for abortion. Who does that really help? The woman? No. The father? No. The baby? Definitely not. So Verity puts it all together in a beautiful way, and everybody comes out on top of this deal. Amen. Capiche, gang? That's Italian. You understand what I'm saying? All right. All right. Now, all right. Okay, so you get all this done, with the baby, the husband, the wife. They get a chance to see the sonogram and, hey, wowee, that's my baby. And usually things work out pretty good once they see that, hey, there's a real baby there.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so then you don't just say, okay, goodbye, you got a real baby there. This ongoing counseling, and then there's also help, correct? Right. As the pregnancy continues. You said a lot of people that come to you really aren't financially destitute.
Right.
All right, so what do? You say, okay, we're going to help you do what? Plan, budget? What are you going to do?
Well, one of the things they need is information, because now they've been thrown into this situation they really weren't planning. They were thinking career and all kinds of other things. Now they're thinking about, I've got to be a parent. The first thing they're going to face is a hospital stay, and they want to know about that. So childbirth classes are helpful just to get the fear factor taken care of. The second thing we do is parenting. We offer parenting classes so that they can see what does a healthy parental relationship look like. Mm-hmm. We also have other classes for those who need it, things like life skills, resume building, budgeting. All those things are options if they need it and want it. We even have things like, what if they have an issue with drug abuse? We have some special circumstance videos that we can work with them on, or refer them to a counselor who's professionally trained to handle that kind of situation.
Okay. Now, you have a medical background.
I do.
All right, you OB-GYN nurse?
Yep.
Okay, and you were nursing for like how many years?
Decades.
Decades. Okay, so you bring a lot of experience. And how has your experience as a OB-GYN nurse helped you in your present ministry?
Well, I started out actually in NICU, so that's where I learned about fetal development, that a baby can survive at 23, 24 weeks.
Yeah, I can't get over it. But again, this is like miraculous when you see this. This baby is like about that big, and they make it, and they make it. I baptized a few of them with an eyedropper. So, yeah, it's fantastic.
And then I went on to OB, and most of those parents, well, almost all of those parents made a choice for life. So they were looking forward excitedly to parenting. So in many ways, this ministry has been the antithesis of my professional career, other than the medical side of it. So where some executive directors who may not have a medical background don't understand gestational age and things like that, I worked in that world.
Yes, you know all this
and
stuff.
So
yeah.
I came with that. I can teach another nurse how to handle those things.
As you can imagine, producing this wonderful program, Action for Life, it costs a great deal of money. We're going to need your help. So if you would like to donate to keep this good news program on the air, please go to your computer, your cell phone, actionforlife.net. And now for our thought for the day. Prayer is extremely important. We're not fighting a battle just against earthly powers. We're fighting a battle against evil. Please take some time each day to pray and ask God for the strength that you need and that we need to keep up the battle for life. Now, this is a Christ-centered ministry.
It is.
Okay. How do you promote the gospel in this ministry?
Well, we know that the gospel is the only answer, because we can save a baby into a family that's lost, and we're just delaying their death. But if we can win that family to Christ we begin by a spiritual conversation, because ultimately we know it's the Holy Spirit that changes hearts. But if we can begin a conversation, they may actually start it sometimes like, oh, God is disappointed with me, and that's our jumping off point. But on our intake form, one of the questions we ask is, do you have a spiritual background? Because we tell our clients that we're looking at helping them holistically, spiritually, mentally, physically, and emotionally. So spiritual is one of those things. So the question, do you have spiritual background, gives us an idea of where they're coming from. And one of the things we'll ask is if they say, I'm a Christian. Well, what does that mean to you? Tell me about that. And it can lead to a very wonderful conversation that either confirms they already have a faith in God, or lead them to a conversation where we can introduce them to the God of faith.
Hey, Christian community, gang, we got to take care of each other, all right? Nurture the faith that's there. Remind people that Christ is with them in very difficult times, and then to evangelize. You know, some people may really have never met Christ. They heard about him, they never really met him, came into a personal contact with him. The way you do that is through personal contact with other Christians who have the Holy Spirit within them. Okay, now, there's another part of your ministry that I want to talk about. Okay, it's a little bit, I'm a little bit, kind of yucky. You deal also with STDs. Okay, sexually transmitted diseases. Now, does that happen when people come in and they're pregnant and they have some kind of disease, or do they just say, I need help, I think there's something wrong someplace? How does this work?
We serve both of them primarily. Well, first of all, the same behavior that gets you pregnant could get you an STD. And there's a lot of risky behavior going on in our culture. So again, we want to deal with all of the physical issues that we can help with. So we certainly, as we're assessing the woman's need and her medical condition, we're looking at the possibility that she may have an STD. And let's say she comes in and she's really abortion-minded. We don't want her to abort, but we wouldn't want her to abort if she's got an untreated STD, because that's going to put her future pregnancies someday at risk. So at the very least, we want her to get tested so that she knows her status. Very often, people who are facing unplanned pregnancies are in a moment of crisis and they think they have to rush to a decision. And that's what happens with the abortion clinic and the abortion industry. They want to rush that person to make a decision.
Because they don't really care about you.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what they care about, gang? They don't care about the woman. They don't care about the baby. They care about, well, the scarola. In Italian, that's the greens, the money. All right. Yeah. Go ahead.
So what happens with the STD testing is they get tested, they leave, they come back for the results. In that time period, they've had time to think about the fact that they are also pregnant. Mm-hmm. And many times we've had a save of a baby because we've recommended STI testing. So that's one facet. We can also test her partner. Maybe it was a one-night stand or a first encounter, and he's been with a lot of women. We want to take care of him too. But we also, and we actually started the STI testing as an outreach to the college campus because there's a lot of that going on. And we think of our STI testing as the preventative arm, because if we can get them in to test them, first of all, we're giving them a free service that they can't get anywhere else free. Second of all, we're making a friend, and so now they know who we are next time they're facing a potential pregnancy or something else. And we begin to have those spiritual conversations about, are you really making the best decision for your life and for your health and for your family and for your relationship with God? So,
they come in, man or woman. Mm-hmm. Sometimes, do they have any clue that they are infected by something? Or is it like a surprise?
Both. Sometimes they have a symptom or they were told that they've been exposed. Sometimes they're shocked. Mm-hmm. We've had a couple of instances of having to deliver positive HIV results. And I would rather us be the ones to tell them, mm-hmm. because we spend time with them, we cry with them, we pray with them. That doesn't happen at an abortion clinic where they can get testing for many more dollars and a lot of non-care.
Okay. Now, so you find out that somebody has HIV, and of course the baby may very well be born right with the HIV. Do you send them to a doctor? What do you do with hospital, clinic? How does this work?
When the woman comes in and gets a positive pregnancy test, one of the things she leaves with is a list of the doctors that we know in our community mm-hmm. to be pro-life, that will take her and as a patient, they're accepting new clients. They may accept Medicaid, or they're willing to work with women because they want to help us with our clients. So we refer them to pro-life doctors who then take over the prenatal care from there.
Okay. Do you make this list of doctors available? Suppose somebody says, we'd like to know the pro-doctors in Fort Myers. Do you make the list available?
I've never had that question asked. Uh-huh. I've never had somebody in the public.
You come to this show, we ask all the questions. We leave no stone unturned here.
But we certainly give it to every client.
Okay. So it's public information. If you give it to the client, they could put it out online. They could do whatever they want with it.
They certainly could.
Yeah.
And what I would say is periodically we check to see if we call the doctor's offices to make sure that they are still, do you do abortions? No. Okay, we'll leave you on the list.
Yeah. I was talking to a group of doctors a couple of weeks ago, and we had them for a special day. We call it a white mass because the doctors wear white. And we talked about the Hippocratic Oath. It was kind of like, don't be judgmental. You take care of the patient. And a lot of people go to the doctor and they're scared, first of all. they're ashamed, and they think the doctor's making all kind of judgments about them. But the real professional is the doctor that says, this person needs help, and I want to help this person. And so if you go to a pro-life doctor, let me be honest with you, the doctor is not going to be judging you. The doctor wants to help you, and perhaps is applauding you for saying, I want to help you have the baby, and you decided not to abort. So don't ever be afraid of going to a pro-life doctor, because Becky has the list, and you can call her Becky. She'll give you a pro-life doctor. This guy's, I mean, I know tons of them over the years, tons of them, great men and women, and they're going to help you, first of all, to get cured of whatever sexually transmitted disease you have, and to have a healthy baby. Okay, tell us what happens then when the baby is finally born.
We actually love to see our babies come back for visits. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't, but all the pictures that I have of holding babies are ones that have come back to visit us. And if we know they're coming, we'll prepare a little gift bag for them.
And they're nice. Well,
the first gift bag they get is actually, we tell them at their first visit, once you know the gender of the baby, if you're going to know, call us and let us know, and we'll put a bag together that you can come and pick up, and we'll just spend some time chatting and seeing how you're doing.
Ladies and gentlemen, isn't this just fantastic? This is good news all the way around. The gospel is proclaimed, people are healed, new life comes into the world, and people leave this situation happy. They come to know God in a special way, and they see God alive in their child. Hey, gang, Becky's for action, I'm for action, and I hope you are too. We would like to thank our generous sponsors for their wonderful support. Thanks for watching. Please join us next time for Action for Life. I'm for action, and I hope you are too. I'm Father Michael Orsi. I am your host for Action for Life Television, that good news program which talks about the gospel of Jesus Christ, the big G, and the little g, all the good things that people are doing to put the gospel of life into action. So please join us for the next episode of Action for Life.